Good afternoon. I'm Lorraine Duffy, and I'm going to give you an introduction to a new concept called Haptic gloves. We talk about it as let your fingers do the talking. I'm hoping I get this right. Why isn't this working? A wireless digital glove with accelerometers and magnetometers allow you to actually send digital signatures with your hand movements and receive digital signatures as vibrational braille on your fingertips. It allows for silent communication with finger movements in dark, dangerous, and very noisy situations. It allows for wireless keyboard-less control and interaction with computers, internet games, and robotics. It allows for use in restricted environments in which you can't have precise movement. I'm going to give you an example of that in a few minutes. For example, with firefighters, divers, astronauts, and soldiers, and in distance surgery, for example. And also it allows for blind people to communicate with deaf people. It's a very unusual technology in that way. This is the area that we look at. When you have communication challenges like this, it's a real problem. If you'll notice in the central picture, it gives you a real sense of this. This is a hazmat crew. What they're doing is dealing with a hazmat problem, and what he's done is pulled his hand out of his glove because he can't manage his smaller sensor boxes. So he's pulled his hand out of the glove. If you'll notice, the glove is sitting in this red circle. He's put his hand through the middle of the suit so he can work his sensor. In the same way that we have a chem bio officer here on the end, he can't manage his keyboard. What they do is they issue pens, and he taps with his keyboard with 2 pens. That is a standard operating procedure today. What happened? If you notice in these environments, they also have a difficulty in communication. If you're a skier on a ski slope, it's very hard to communicate with each other because you're going down a slope and it's very cold, and it's also, there's large distances between folks. If you're part of the next mission to the moon or the mission to Mars, you're part of 15 people going up in space. How do you manage to engage in situational assessment, situational awareness updates? You have to talk to each other. Well, 5 people talking with each other is very difficult to understand. 15 people is nearly impossible. As well as folks in diving situations and in firestorm situations. Those people have a difficulty in communicating with each other. Well, we suggest gestural Twitter. So if you have a glove, such as mine, that allows you to communicate with hand movements, and you actually can integrate with a very simple coding device. What it allows you to do is talk with your skiers. So for example, if you're at the bottom of a ski hill and the rest of your team is at the top of the ski hill, how do you get a hold of them and tell them you're going to a different lodge at a different time? So instead of going at 6, you're going at 7. Well, it would be a few gestures of your fingers. You could communicate that to the rest of your team. If you're part of Madonna's security team, how do you manage to inform each other that something's going wrong or something's about to happen without making quite of a scene for yourself by talking into headsets in a very loud situation? You could gesture with your fingers. You could also manage control of robotic devices, your keyboards and PDAs, by moving your fingers and pointing it towards your PDA device. In the same way that if you're in the middle of the Katrina storm, how do you manage to tell people where you are and what's happening? You could by gesturing with your hands. It would be available in very, very noisy environments such as these. As well, in distance surgery, you can use it to control the hand movements or give information to another surgeon in a distant location. Or in fact, give updates to EMT personnel as they're in the field gathering information about a patient. They can gesture information about the situation the patient's in by moving their fingers. But the environment that we're most interested in, because we are a military lab, is looking at distributed warfighters in an environment in which they can't talk to each other very easily. So they communicate with gestures. There are actually standard gestures that they do use for emergency situations. We've captured those and allow for those to be interpreted into actual statements about their condition using hand gestures. So what makes us different? There's about 5 competitive elements out in the environment today, 5 companies that are out there. They have very nice products. What makes us different from the other 4 are that we're wireless and that we're also vibrational. So the haptic problem, being able to touch, being able to feel the vibrations on your fingers, is something that differentiates us from the rest of the market. So our organization and the people that are working on this project, we're part of a Navy R&D lab where transformational technology takes place. My team itself has 17 scientists and engineers that engage in these areas. They're tasked or charged with being able to provide more proficient tactical communications via multimedia chat and novel technologies of inscription, being able to use your hands to inscribe information into a computer, reducing situation awareness coordination time, making them faster and better at this, and enable communications where it was unable before. I'm interested in finding strategic partners who are willing to engage in licensing activities and also in helping to develop this technology because I think it's important and I think it will change the way we communicate with each other. So I invite that discussion.